Australia, Hawaii, Canada, the Caribbean, Panama Canal, Alaska. We've been fortunate enough to experience some pretty incredible places. But if we could only repeat one of those trips exactly as we experienced it, which one would we choose?
And no, we haven't agreed on an answer yet. At least, I don't think we have.
I don't think so. Long before From Porch to Pines existed, we were already filming our travels. We weren't filming YouTube videos. We weren't thinking about thumbnails and B-roll. But we did come home with several years of footage from some of our favorite trips. And after 40 or more cruises, we've narrowed it down to our 6 favorites.
So today we're going to look back at 6 very different travel experiences, answering the following question. Which one would you most like to repeat?
And to be clear, this is not a ranking of cruise ships, cruise lines, suites, or private islands. We're judging the destinations themselves, the scenery, the experiences, the people, the memories, and how strongly we would want to go back. We're also not claiming that one of these places is objectively better than the other. We're simply asking ourselves which complete trip gave us the experience we would most like to relive. Now we'll begin with Hawaii, which has appeared in our travels more than once.
Part of our Hawaii experience included staying at Aulani, which gave us a chance to slow down and actually enjoy the destination instead of seeing it during a really short port stop. It gave us the resort experience, but Hawaii itself supplied the scenery, the weather, the ocean, and had that feeling that you were very far away from normal everyday life.
Hawaii also has a major advantage in this comparison in that it's relatively easy for us to imagine going back. The possible drawback is that Hawaii is familiar. It may not have that same once-in-a-lifetime feeling like Australia or the Panama Canal, for example.
Well, familiar is not necessarily a bad thing, though, especially when familiar looks like this.
Australia. Australia and Hawaii were technically part of the same cruise, but the trip began in Australia and ended in Hawaii. The 2 destinations just felt so completely different that we're considering them separately in this video. Australia had the excitement of going somewhere genuinely far from home.
Yeah, Sydney Harbor is one of those places that you've seen photographs your entire life, and then suddenly you're standing there and you're looking at it yourself.
Australia also offered variety. I mean, it has a major international city, beautiful coastline, wildlife, and a culture that to me felt familiar enough to be comfortable with, but different enough to be exciting.
Yeah. The strongest argument for repeating Australia is that we barely scratched the surface.
Right. We weren't there very long.
We were not.
But that may also be the biggest disadvantage because it's a very long way to go.
Oh, it's a long way.
You don't casually decide on Friday afternoon to spend the weekend in Sydney. Not from the United States, anyway.
Yeah.
So repeating Australia would require time, planning, and a willingness to survive another very long flight. But I'll tell you what, once you arrive, it rewards the effort. Our Canada trip was really more of a journey down the Atlantic coast.
It began in Quebec City, and we continued through Nova Scotia, and it included stops in Boston, Charleston, and finally ending in Miami.
And that makes this one difficult to describe as a single destination, but the variety is exactly what made it memorable. Quebec City felt different from almost anywhere we visited in North America.
Yeah. The architecture, the streets, the atmosphere gave a distinctly European feeling without actually crossing the Atlantic.
Nova Scotia was beautiful coastline. It was smaller communities and a quieter pace.
Yeah. The trip kept changing. I mean, Boston gave us history and a major American city. Charleston had its own character and architecture, and Miami completely different as well.
This trip may have offered more contrast than any other one on the list. And the drawback then, I guess you could say, is that it didn't have one like sort of enormous centerpiece like the Panama Canal or the Alaskan scenery.
Right.
Instead, its strength was the accumulation of experiences. One interesting place after another, with the scenery and the climate and the personality constantly changing. Now, the Caribbean is probably the broadest contender on our list. And again, for this comparison, we're not judging which cruise line had the best private island or which beach club serves the best lunch. Those things are fun to talk about, but they tell us more about the cruise line than the destination. Again, we're focusing on the actual ports, the landscapes, the people, the communities.
Yeah. One recent example was Taino Bay at Puerto Plata.
Yeah, in the DR.
In the DR. The port area was beautiful and colorful and entertaining. The larger appeal was getting a glimpse of the Dominican Republic beyond the controlled resort area.
Right.
The Caribbean offers warmth and vivid waters and tropical scenery and has an enormous number of places to explore.
It's also one of the easiest experiences on this list to repeat. The possible disadvantage, I feel, is that after several Caribbean trips, individual stops can sometimes begin to blend together. Beautiful warm water, sun, colorful buildings.
And Bino asking where to get a beer.
I believe in understanding the local culture
Through beer?
whenever possible.
Okay.
The newest trip on our list is the Panama Canal. It's one of our very favorites.
This experience was different because the journey itself was the main attraction. Most of the time, a ship takes you to a destination. At the Panama Canal, being on the ship while it moved through the canal was the destination.
Right, watching the locks operate, it was as fascinating as I expected it to be. You understand intellectually how the canal works, but seeing this enormous ship raised and lowered and move through the system is completely different. It was engineering, it was history, and it was travel all happening around you in real time, so to speak.
The ports throughout the region added another layer. We experienced tropical scenery, coastal communities, and places we probably would not have visited on a typical vacation.
The Panama Canal also had a genuine sense of occasion.
It felt like we were completing one of those major travel experiences that people talk about for years. So my question is, would a second transit feel as special after we already knew what to expect? Or would we notice even more the second time?
And finally, Alaska.
Alaska may have the most consistently dramatic scenery of any trip on this list. There are places where you can occasionally see something beautiful, but in Alaska, you can look out the window almost any time and see mountains and forests and waterfalls and ice.
Our stops in Alaska included Juneau, Icy Strait Point, Skagway, Ketchikan.
Yeah. Skagway combined history with some extraordinary scenery, and the train ride was breathtaking.
Juneau gave us the unusual experience of visiting a state capital that's surrounded by wilderness, and it's accessible in a way unlike most American cities.
Icy Strait Point felt smaller and closer to the natural environment. And talk about beautiful.
Yeah, just as breathtaking. Alaska also changes constantly with the light and the weather. Mist and clouds don't necessarily ruin the view. Sometimes they make it even more dramatic. Now, the drawback is Alaska is certainly not a warm weather escape. And returning doesn't guarantee that you're going to see the same wildlife or have the same weather or even glacier conditions, but maybe that unpredictability is part of the reason to go back. So those are our 6 top contenders. Hawaii, Australia, Canada and the Atlantic coast,
The Caribbean, the Panama Canal, and Alaska.
Now, we each answered one question privately. If someone offered to send us back on one of these trips tomorrow, which one would we choose? Our 3 finalists were Alaska, Australia, And then it was actually kind of a tie between Canada and the Panama Canal.
Each one earned its place for a completely different reason, whether it was beauty, diversity, or just any other number of reasons.
So for our very favorite, we wrote down our answers separately.
Neither of us knows what the other chose.
So, you ready? 3, 2, 1. The answer is... Oh, wow. No, wait a minute. We actually agreed.
Wow. Okay.
Did you choose it because you thought I would? Because I know you had a really hard time with the flight. We're 17 hours on an airplane.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then also,
But-
that cruise also, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, that's okay.
We had more consecutive sea days than any other cruise, and you don't always like that. I'm really surprised that was your choice.
Because it was so interesting and we were there for such a short period of time, and I loved what I saw. I would love to go back, see that same area again because I loved it, and then
We
go
haven't,
other places.
we haven't seen the whole world yet, but I think Sydney is just about the most beautiful place that I've seen.
And the people were so nice.
All right, we agreed on Australia.
Woo!
Now, of course, this answer may not last very long because next month we're traveling to Rome and cruising Italy and France.
That trip has not earned a place on this list yet. But when we return, we may have to ask whether Europe changed our answer.
Until then, tell us which of these trips you would want to repeat or which destination belongs on your own list.
Yeah. And please subscribe to From Ports to Pines so you can join us for Europe and see whether we come home with a new favorite. Thanks for traveling with us, and we'll see you next time.